Bam Margera is one of the most memorable MTV celebrities from the counterculture of the early 2000s. Bam achieved a lot in a relatively short period of time, from his impact on the skateboarding community to traveling across the globe in various expeditions, and most importantly starring in a stunt group that would revolutionize content creation as a whole. Bam would gain massive popularity and financial success. However, as time went on, many would be concerned about his mental health.
The only person that I will believe on the planet is Dr. Phil. Everybody else is a hee-haw head.
Bam would soon develop a history of battling addiction, erratic behavior, detrimental eating habits, denial.
If I am going nuts, it's actually my mom doing it. Because I think that the problem is everybody else. I don't even think of me as a problem, but...
Many speculate that Bam has been going on a downward slope, especially following the death of his longtime friend, Ryan Dunn. However, I have no clue if any of these claims are truth or simply exaggerations. And that's where I come in. Alright, so, hello. I'm Uncle Unbaited, and this is the life of Bam Margera. So, for the past few months, I've been working on this project, and I've been super behind by it, so I apologize. This was going to be a 2-hour video, but now it is divided into episodes. So, throughout this series, I will go through Bam's biggest accomplishments and defeats to unveil sort of an understanding of his character, both on camera and off. So this project will be done in 4 so-called acts. Each act would have about 3 to 4 episodes. So far, my script is about 97 pages. So, I'm just gonna jump in, guys. I don't fucking have these long intros. Enjoy the video. It all started with April and Phil Margera, who met in a movie theater at the Tri-State Mall. They fell in love at first sight. April's family had a background of musicians, while Phil had a love for Elvis.
So you're dating and then you get married. Well, you were young though, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was 18, she was 19.
I was 19.
Yeah,
I turned 23 weeks later though. Well, we actually got married in 76, and then we, believe it or not, we lived in an apartment for the first year, and then we bought our first house. Isn't that crazy?
Right.
And we, bought our house, decorated and all that. And so then we had Jesse in 78.
Right.
And then Bam in 79.
Yeah.
They lived in the small town of Westchester, Pennsylvania. With just a small population of 19,000, this town had very little going on. According to a 2006 interview with Big Brother magazine, Margera stated, "I got the name Bam from my grandpa. I was like 3 or something, just running into walls, being an idiot. It was just like bam, bam, bam. So it was Bam Bam forever."
That's because when you were Bam, you used to be like little Bam Bam. You were a little kid, you used to go bang, 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 and f it up. Now, you're like you just destroy.
During an interview in the Jackass the Movie companion book, April answers a few questions about Bam's childhood. What was Bam like growing up? Basically the same person he is now. Always a daredevil, you couldn't tell him no. If you told him no, he would only do it more. He just knew what he wanted to do. When asked about what was the earliest stunt you could remember him doing, she said that when he was 3, he went off on a pretty big ramp with a big wheel. So during a podcast with Raab's bathroom break, Jess talked about the house they grew up in that was right off of South Concord Road. It was bought by their parents in 1979 and was known for being across the street from a waste treatment plant. It would frequently smell like shit as the years go by.
Development started coming in and more poop was
I
would go out and get the mail and be like, Jesus Christ.
Bam was never the one to take school seriously. He was irresponsible, he was tardy, always getting himself into trouble for wanting to do things his own way. But that doesn't mean he was lazy. Bam would meet many of his long-term friends through Westchester East High School. However, he met Chris Raab prior.
Well, it's funny when you say like 10, 11, because we met way back. I mean, I met Bam first. We were in, I think it was 2nd grade, so we were just 7 years old or whatever. And we met through, we always joke because it was like, hey, you got a bowl cut? I got a bowl cut too. and then that's, and then all of a sudden we were friends.
Hey, it's the
Raab himself was born on May 21st, 1980. Raab revealed in an interview with the Metal Mixtape and discussed how Bam received his first camera through his father Phil, after seeing Bam's outstanding skateboarding potential. Chris Raab was known as a hellraiser in high school. He was obnoxious and he was pretty proud of it. One example of messing with people was how he approached some jock at the fucking payphone.
And Raab would just hang it up and wait till the quarter drops down and then just laugh.
This was revealed in a 2001 documentary they created on VHS. Life for Bam would change following a digital media class in high school. Here he met Brandon DiCamillo, aka Dico, who was born on November 15th, 1976. So in the Jackass companion book, Bam was actually asked what interested him in filming random stuff, and he stated that it was probably in the 9th grade, when he met Brandon, Ryan, Art, and everybody in graphics art. During this period, most of his friends were in the 12th grade, while Bam was in the 9th. Another quick story is when Raab had a job as a pizza delivery boy, and in the event when someone didn't tip, Bam and Dico would go to their house and mess up their mailbox. And this was actually recorded on the CKY documentary.
Brand.
Art Webb is remembered as a cameo character in the CKY universe. However, Webb and Bam were rather tight in high school, and if it wasn't for Art, Bam would not have been introduced to his brother Raekyeon, his real name being Edward Webb, who was born on January 20th, 1975. We'll talk more about him in a little bit. Ryan Dunn was born on June 11th, 1977 in Medina, Ohio. He spent most of his childhood in Brecksville. He then would later move to Westchester at the age of 16, where he was transferred to East High School. Dunn would become Bam's closest friend, and he of course would be known for being a future member of Jackass. Alright, so the 2001 CKY documentary I'm talking about came in the CKY box set, and it would feature skits created by Bam's crew throughout their high school years. In addition, the Ryan Dunn tribute special would briefly do the same. One early official skit was in 1993 with a bit titled The Sasquatch. The bit was about Bam and Chris Hanna searching for a Sasquatch, played by Chris's brother Mark. Mark does a goofy shriek resulting in a sheriff, played by Jess Margera, to drop his firearm. It was getting dark, so they needed to end the skit, and the best way to do it was to have Chris taking a shit off of a bridge. Mark and Chris Hanna are brothers and will be good friends with Bam throughout the years. In 1994, they made a skit called East Football. This was during a period where Dico actually had long hair, and he was rooting for a, and I quote,
Rehoboth, which is a gay football team.
He got thrown off the bleachers and beaten by Bam. The group used a stuffed dummy for the stunts in this, like throwing him from the top of the bleachers, and also my favorite part where Bam fucking grabs a rock and throws it at the dummy's nuts. And then Dunn would come in and drive his fucking Chrysler LeBron into the fake ass Dico. The Ryan Dunn tribute special mentioned that Bam, Jess, and Ryan would create a band called Soul Roach, with Dunn being the front man. The group attended the Westchester Battle of the Bands and came in last. Captain Undies is a skit mentioned by Dunn, created in 1994. Dunn plays a superhero that attempts to save Bam, who plays a
young lad being beaten.
Two hillbilly-esque characters played by Tim and David Bataro would interfere. They would gently attack Ryan, then have their way with him. I kinda can't use a certain word due to YouTube regulations, so let's just say it ends with Ryan having bloody underwear. Alright, so real quick, on a more grim note, September 21st, 1995 would be the day when Ryan would get Bam, Raab, Jess, and himself in an almost severe car accident. Dunn was driving a Lent Volkswagen Jetta and was heading down Route 202 when another driver veered in front of Dunn. Dunn was driving at almost 100 miles an hour, thus losing control of the car. It sent it flipping over 8 times into oncoming traffic. Jess would get launched out of the car, resulting in a broken arm. Bam, who at first refused to wear a seatbelt, would be forced by Raab to wear one when the car was reaching 100 miles per hour, which was a decision that probably saved his life. Raab actually came out unscathed.
My part of the car, like nothing had happened to it at all, and I just kind of got out and was just confused. And look at everybody's just in panic, and there's cars like skidding out, getting out, couldn't believe any of us were alive, let alone all of us.
In 1996, they did a skit titled Mad Scientist.
Ew, what the fuck is in there?
Dico was basically playing with dry ice.
The whole time I'm just trying to see how far I can take it with Art, and we also bought some dry ice, so there you go. It's Mad Scientist land with bubbling water. And Art always wears this chain on his neck. Like, that was his tough stage, and he would always have those flannels with the cut-off sleeves, so I just wanted to fuck with him as bad as I could, and and then just watch him freak out.
So he would grab Art's chain and dip it into this fluid and put it on him so now he can see the future. And then Art all of a sudden gets hot towards Deco, who walked off to throw up. The bit featured Brandon drinking a serum that would make him see in 1 week in advance. However, since he was thinking about next week, he had no idea of what he was thinking presently. So Deco ends the bit in a very over-the-top sort of way by riding a bike with a torch in one hand screaming "The British are coming" at 3 a.m. Ryan G, aka The Gill, was a professional photographer who worked with BAM on many future projects. G grew up in northern New Jersey and took up skateboarding in his pre-teens. G took an interest in photography during his 3rd semester in college in 1993. He soon moved to Philadelphia and became a major contributor to Love Park's scene, featuring his work in skateboarding magazines, most notable being Transworld magazine in 1994. G was a part of the CKY crew. He would do photography work with BAM for many years to come. G would receive the title Shit Goose on the bonus footage of CKY 2K.
Goddamn, I know you're there. You're probably just sitting there sleeping like a goddamn shit goose. Shit goose, funnier than the gay vulture then. The gay vulture.
G would also be nicknamed The Gill, following an accident where he ruptured his spleen, resulting in a scar after attempting a triple high dive. On Radio BAM 36, BAM revealed he dared G to do it at age 16.
I was in intensive care unit. I had 2.5 pints of blood in my stomach. And they had to pump that shit out. Meanwhile, this fucker takes my truck and just joyrides it back to Philly.
Makes his dad come get him.
After G was hospitalized, BAM and Maldonado stole G's truck and parked it in a no parking spot, resulting in an accumulation of tickets. I don't know why they did that, but they did. According to professional skateboarder Tim O'Connor, he stated, Ryan G, a type of carbon-based life form, not only sleeps a lot, it also hibernates. This human calls himself a veggie for health reasons, but at the same time smokes cigarettes and eats cancer-causing wow potato chips constantly. Somehow though this disturbed lifestyle, he has figured out the formula for taking honey-glazed photos on a daily basis. Take photos like his, but do not live like him. I'm the reason he has the gill. BAM, G, and another famous skater, Mike Maldonado, would film a bit titled Truck Jumping, where BAM asked G if he could fuck up his own car, because BAM's logic is that,
Ask G, I'm like, G, let's just go fuck your car up because your dad paid for it. I mean, he'll just get you another one if it's all jacked, so let's just go wreck it. And he was like, okay, and I was like, alright.
G agreed to this, and they spent the entire day driving off-road and flooring it over bridges, and of course catching all the footage they can.
This is the first skit we did with 16mm film, and we were so amped to do it that we woke up at 7 in the morning to get it done.
They were so excited for this that they allegedly got up at 7 a.m. to record the Billy Idol skit. So the CKY documentary version would feature a track by the band Him, probably for copyright reasons. However, the original bit can be found in the bonus content section of CKY 1. This time, it would be in color and feature the original track, White Wedding by Billy Idol. In '97, they created a short titled Pie Skit. So Phil Margera would be known as a baker that worked for the Westchester Acme grocery chain. So BAM enters the supermarket, goes to the cake decoration section and grabs a pie. Then he walks behind the counter while passing pacifist Phil, who was eating, and casually asking BAM what he's doing with the dessert. BAM then goes out back, walks up to Deco, who was doing the dishes, and throws the pie into Deco's face. Brandon then eats it and says this.
Apple.
Lastly, the CKY documentary featured a 1997 skit called How to Rob a House. The bit is considered a centerpiece. It's the cover image of the CKY documentary, featuring BAM and Deco during this bit. This was where Deco and BAM tell you how to break into a house, providing ridiculous tips and slapstick along the way. BAM would stuff his cheeks for some of the scenes for these segments, and it's pretty funny. Deco and BAM break into the house using a fork. Then while inside the house, the two discuss how to rob the place. One example, they mention about taking just the valuables. So for that bit, BAM stands outside with a bag open. Deco then grabs a bunch of plates from the cupboards, walks over to the window, and chucks the plates into BAM's bag, resulting in them shattering on the porch floor, and then blames BAM for it.
Now, you ruined all the valuables, you idiot! That was what was worth money. Holy shit! All right, let's go. Let's go.
My favorite moment is when Jess comes out with a rifle the second time. Deco takes the gun out of his hand and says,
I'm robbing that fucking gun. I'm robbing your house. Now get back I like this t-shirt. I want this t-shirt. Get back to bed. Get on.
Bam then steals Jess's t-shirt and they leave. I also just want to mention briefly that the skit ends with them spitting into each other's hands and giving themselves a handshake. If you haven't seen How to Rob a House, I really recommend it. It's pretty funny. Alright, so let's talk about the end of high school. Bam dropped out of high school around the end of his junior year after Chris Raab was expelled from Westchester East High School for taking a shit in a locker. Alright, let me explain. So Raab revealed in a bathroom podcast about the incident. His antics led to the school counselor drawing a line. If Raab does one more outrageous act, he will be expelled. He thought that there was no way he could possibly go 6 months without doing something fun. So in class, he told Bam that he was going to shit in the teacher's coffee mug. Bam doubted him, but Raab did it. He shit in a coffee mug in the hallway, but the prank backfired.
Story Bam tells, but no,
you
there was
sure?
no. Yeah, he didn't talk me into any
I
of that.
felt so bad about that. I'm like, oh my
No,
god.
but that's what always would bug me because I'm like, I'm my own person. But because I was in the hallway and this girl was coming and I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna get caught. So I threw it onto the lockers and then threw the cup into the bathroom and then ran away and there's shit on my foot and there's all, but
Raab panicked and threw the mug with shit inside of it into the locker, therefore smearing shit on a locker. Bam was getting heat by the school guidance counselor for his behavior. There's a journal entry that's actually featured on page 111 on Bam's version of Kurt Cobain Journals, titled Serious as Dog Dirt, which he stated, Raab got expelled from East High School for shitting on a locker, which gave me the brilliant idea to quit. I already knew what I wanted to do with my life, which was skating. I had to listen to my guidance counselor tell me I was making a terrible decision because skateboarding is a fad and it will disappear in 2 years. Then he started rambling on about a student similar to me who quit to become a famous rapper, and he saw him 2 years later working at McDonald's. All the shit he said was in one ear and out the other. I felt I was good enough to be a professional skater, and I was willing to fly to California to F out. Then there's always the infamous question teachers and relatives and your girlfriend parents ask, what happens if you break your neck? Then what? Then I say, I will wait for my neck to heal. Then I will try the same trick again. And they all look at you like you're a idiot. Fuck it. There's no way I'm being miserable like all of you people working a 9 to 5 every day. I'll take my chances. He may not value his institutional education. You may think he didn't get a diploma, but that isn't true. April actually homeschooled Bam and assisted him with getting his GED, which he did achieve before his class even graduated. Many would want to classify Bam as too dumb for school, but this is a misconception that all dropouts are poorly educated. Bam was clearly smart enough to become a successful skater, editor, and expressing a remarkable amount of creativity. To him, school was just an obstacle from his success, and he wasn't really wrong about that. Alright, so I gotta be honest with you guys. I don't know shit when it comes to skateboarding. I've never skated. I've played a lot of Tony Hawk games, so at least I got that. But I apologize ahead of time if I mislabel certain tricks and whatnot. I'm trying my best and I'm learning a lot actually. Obviously, you cannot have a Bam Margera video and not discuss his skateboarding career, so it's essential for this project that I talk about this. So let's jump in. So Bam started skating around the age of 7. Bam's parents were highly supportive of both brothers.
Sort of thing.
Well, Phil worked for like some tuxedo company for years, and then the guy sold the company, and then Phil was just like, well, now what do I do?
Yeah.
He just drove us around to skate parks and built us ramps, like,
dude,
while
hell
he was,
yeah.
like, trying to find a new job.
One of the earliest pieces of Bam Margera skateboarding media was probably in 1992 for the promoter H Street. During the 16-second runtime, we see Bam do a blunt to fakie and a handful of other tricks on a vert ramp. During an interview with Steve-O's Wild Ride, Bam reveals his first sponsorship was at the age of 13 with Fairmans Skate Shop. At 16, H Street sponsored him. Soon after he received that sponsorship, he also got one with Plan B. Bam was featured in a wide variety of video magazines. Bam was featured in the 7th edition of the skateboarding video magazine 411. He was listed under the amateur spotlight, Wheels of Fortune.
Hi, I'm Bam. I'm 14, I've been skating for 7 years.
Before I get any further, I want to talk about a skateboarding location known as Love Park. Located just 35 miles westward of Westchester lies a skateboarding hotspot known as Love Park. The park is nicknamed Love Park for its reproduction of Robert Indiana's 1970 Love Sculpture, which overlooks John F. Kennedy Plaza. Love Park was located in a really dangerous area of Philly. There were drug dealers, mentally unstable homeless people, and of course there was a police presence that detoured your average worker from wanting to visit on their lunch break.
There's these like random dudes dressed as bums that would just sit there, and they were just undercover cops.
Despite Love Park's poor crime, it had a legacy like no other. Most skating spots have about one architectural flaw that skateboarders can fuck with, that being a gap, a rail, or whatever. But Love Park was considered a mecca, a spot with so many trick locations it almost seemed designed for skaters. Smooth adjustable granite tiling, polished benches and railing, movable trash cans and tables, and of course the iconic fountain gap.
Wenning's trying switch heel flips, almost did it, came so close.
These was just to name a few of the spots that you can skate on at Love Park. The history of Love Park needs to be mentioned in this project. I honestly wish I could talk about it in more detail. However, I'm still just going to try to keep it relative enough in regards to the Margera project. Jess Margera mentioned in an interview about both him and Bam, when they were in their preteens, took a bus to Love Park to get involved with the skateboarding culture. It was chaos every day. I remember cops tackling dudes with a gun. They'd shoot in the air and we'll all have to run. Multiple guns pointed at me. It was nuts, man. Like huge fights. Some New York dudes would come down and start some shit with the Philly guys, and Ricky Iola would always end it. That dude is insane, dude. Ricky Iola was always the one swinging his board, hitting dudes in the head. I'm 14, sitting there like, alright, I'm gonna go now. So obviously I can't go into detail of Love Park's story, so I highly recommend to check out the 2004 documentary, The Love Park Story. It was produced by Transworld Skateboarding, link here. In 1994, the city of Philadelphia banned skateboarding in the park.
I can't believe how much shit went down at Love when they knew that there was a month left.
And luckily, with the help of returning skater Josh Kalis, he began to bring the scene back to the park. The park still enforced the ban by having undercover cops, which allegedly were bribed at one point with DC shoes.
Josh Kalis actually saved the scene, because if he wouldn't have came back to Philly, it would be no Brian Winning. It would be no Stevie Williams.
Skate culture at Love still made its mark, to the point where Philly hosted the 2001 X Games due to the status of Love Park.
You know, so the X Games obviously saw that. They know all the popularity. That's why they tried to get it at Love Park, but the city didn't want to have that. So they let us have it at City Hall.
This was bittersweet. It was cool that X Games could be hosted at Philadelphia, but it was kind of bitter because it didn't take place at Love Park, but rather Town Hall. And it's sad to say that legislation agreed with having the X Games at first, but after, things turned grim.
Like, damn, they're really closing this down.
Legislation following this led to the second ban of skateboarding at the park, and this was thick. By 2002, they put up a whole fence around Love Park. Not only that, but they redesigned the whole park. This broke the hearts of the skateboarding community. Once seen as the epicenter of East Coast skateboarding has turned to nothing more but a mere shell of its former self. Skaters also criticized how the government probably spent more money protecting the park through police salaries and the damages they would cause than the actual damage that skaters would cause in the first place.
It's illegal for us to skate here because we're quote-unquote destroying this place, but this motocross bike is revving up the stairs, like chasing us. Like, what kind of damage is this doing to the place?
But that's where I'll leave this topic. I put this in my video for two reasons. One, Bam was a part of this community in the 1990s and most likely met a lot of his connections through this park.
So get this, we're gonna go. We're here for 3 minutes and I have a ticket. Can you meet me in Love, please?
Two, it just displays the amount of passion that the skateboarding community expresses. Nobody seemed to give a shit about this low-life park until the skaters came in and saw it as one of their homes. This story is inspiring and it helped put East Coast skateboarding on the map. It is too iconic to not include in this video. The drama in regards to the story of Love Park sparked a need for change for Philadelphia skaters. In 1996, a plot of no man's land located underneath I-95 would go through a decade-long transition to become Philadelphia's next big skate park. I'm referring to FDR Skatepark. FDR will become a recognizable icon in skateboarding culture on the East Coast of the United States. I'm going to keep this vague and just tell you that Bam has ridden this park a lot in his career. He was even a part of the 2005 Gravity Games, which I'll probably talk about in Act 2. Obviously, I can't dissect every single piece of Bam Margera skateboarding content, there's way too much out there. I'm going to only mention the ones I can find here on YouTube. Bam has been featured in a variety of escape tapes that were sold in shops throughout the US. Before the age of 18, Bam was traveling all across the East Coast to fulfill his love for skateboarding. This brings me to the Fairmans Skate Shop trilogy, which was released in 1993 to 1996. Bam's very first sponsorship was with Fairmans Skate Shop, as I mentioned earlier, and can be sourced to their first 3 tapes. The first tape was filmed and edited by Dan Wolf, and the second and third was filmed and edited by Joe Hiddleston, and featured the likes of Kerry Getz, Jimmy Chung, Mike Maldonado, and of course, friends. Joe Hiddleston's YouTube would become the home of the Joe Hiddleston tapes, a series of tapes filmed during the period of 1992 to 1997. The tapes featured the names as I mentioned above, including Bam Margera. The first Fairmans tape was released around 1993. Episode 3 is the earliest to feature Bam on the channel. Filmed in summer of '92, it featured the likes of Bam, Dan, Jimmy, and Mike skating around downtown DC. Mind, this was when Bam was 13 years old. You get some pretty hilarious shots of Bam raging in this.
Oh! What the fuck? Why'd I step off? Alright, this is it.
Most of this footage would be put into another skate tape titled Eastern Exposure, which was released in 1993. Fairmans 2 was released around 1995. Bam's segment in Fairmans 2 listed him as Tank Margera.
Bam's not Bam anymore, he's evolved to a tank.
It can be speculated that it was due to him relentlessly trying the same trick until he got it right. This can be sourced to episode 6 of the Hiddleston tapes.
You getting tired out? No. Bam's non-stop. Dude, fuck yeah.
This episode was during the filming of Fairmans 3, and it displays Bam attempting to do a 50-50 right next to a busy intersection of West Philly. The entire video is dedicated to this one trick. The credits for Fairmans 2 will display outtakes of the group having fun. This includes Bam doing a recognizable stunt where he throws himself into a bed and whiplashes back to standing. He also credited his friends, parents, and your mama. Fairmans 3 would be released in 1996 and featured tapes filmed as early as 95. These include episodes 7 and 9, which would be filmed in fall of 95 in downtown Philly. Episode 8 would be filmed in summer of 95 at the infamous Magic Skate Park in Jackson Wald, PA. It was a park built in 1978 and it was a hotspot for skaters and BMXers until it closed in the 1980s. However, the park was still skatable, and all one had to do was climb a fence, until it was finally destroyed in 2002. Bam's segment in Fairmans 3 honestly displays the growth of Bam's skill. Here, you start to see Bam bombing more experimental environments, taking a lot more air and technique than you would see before. Fairmans 3 would also include an outtake where Bam is trying to persuade someone for him to continue to skate. Bam even tried to bribe him with $5.
Yeah, if I do this, I'm gonna get lots of money. I share it with you, dude.
Ain't nothing happening here, that's it.
He'll make it and then I'll leave. That's it. I'll give you $5.
No, man, get out of here, man.
Episode 4 of the Hiddleston tapes was filmed during the 1996 Shred for Life benefit in Edison, New Jersey. It was a skateboarding demo event that featured hundreds of skaters and dozens of pros. The best shot in the whole tape was probably about 3.5 minutes in, where some dude attempted to do a frontside board slide and slipped and resulted in the board hitting the camera and the footage cut off. Episode 5 would feature Bam, Mike meeting up with Tim O'Connor in Manhattan in spring of 1997. Here they filmed for Toy Machine Jump Off a Bridge. Some of the shots made it into the tape, including Bam's nollie over a set of stairs, which Bam would become known for. Despite being present during the filming of Toy Machine's Welcome to Hell, Bam was not featured in this film, but he would soon gain a sponsorship by Toy Machine Skateboards in 1998, and during which Bam would be featured in their skate tape Jump Off a Bridge. This piece featured some clips from CKY, like How to Rob a House and Pie Skit. Bam had 2 features in Jump Off a Bridge, and both were great. His segments were memorable for being both a hybrid of skateboarding and stunt work, which also featured him doing a front flip off the 2nd floor of a mall into a fountain. Bam's early skate videos displayed his raw talent and creativity. There was a level of fun in this feature. I believe that is what made Bam's skating unique. It wasn't like he was the best, but he would skate on things most people wouldn't consider. Bam's Park Footy is another segment featured in the tape where he skates around at FDR, while the band CKY plays in the background. Bam and his friends competed in the Tampa Am 1998 Street Finals. The Tampa Pro is considered to be one of the biggest in the country. However, Bam would rank last out of the 10 skaters that competed in the amateur division. Fellow friend Kerry Getz achieved 3rd, and in the pro division, Mike Maldonado actually achieved 5th. In 1999, Transworld released their tape, Feedback. This is one of my personal favorite tapes so far. It's mostly centering around street skating, and it has a remarkable lineup of skaters. I really enjoyed the interview with Jason Gill. There was a lot of scenes of slice of life, with people confronting skaters and skaters confronting bystanders. Some shots were even included at Love Park. I really just love the editing and the cinematography in this tape. It's really remarkable for the time considered. Bam is featured about 20 minutes into the tape with him screaming his ass off. He apparently screamed at a cement truck driver who flipped him off in exchange. Bam would also do some CKY stunts in this, the best example falling with a box fan in front of ongoing traffic and jumping on a massive hedge. If you're curious about skateboarding culture, this tape is a must watch. I really enjoyed this one.
Dude, it's in my name.
That's why I'm gonna hurt it.
In the summer of 2000, ON Video released their premiere skate tape, featuring the likes of Mike Vallely, Bob Burnquist, Kerry Getz, and an in-depth look at X Games gold medalist Danny Way. Bam's segment would be titled Bam Margera Questions Authority, and it's the debut of a familiar face.
Where you can get kicked out of a street.
A man pulls up and tells Bam he can't skate here because it's private property. But it's no rent-a-cop. It's Bam's uncle, Don Vito.
Lord, how do I know you're a rent-a-cop? I'm not a rent-a-cop.
I'm gonna hold off on mentioning my Don Vito video till later on in the project in a more appropriate time. But for now, let's discuss his debut. Don Vito got out of his red Ford truck and throws a Nerf football at Bam while censorship does its work on his F-bombs. Funny looking back at this since we can already recognize Vito from Bam's future projects, but back then, I'm sure your fellow 13-year-old who bought this believed it was real. The rest of this bit features Authority complaining at Bam for skating in various locations. Bam's response is what you would expect out of a rebellious kid being told what to do. He talks back, he pushes buttons, he acts like a complete jackass.
Get your and get out of here before I call the cops. No.
At the Tampa Pro 2000 Street Finals, which were taking place on March 11, 2000, Bam placed 8 out of 10, which was an improvement from the last one. He wasn't the best on a technical standpoint, because I feel like he may have choked halfway. He was able to get a nose grind and a blunt to fakie, and he attempted a frontside board slide, but wiped out on the first go. He was able to get it on the second attempt. Same thing for a 360 bank transfer. I think it's awesome that a lot of these tapes can be found right here on YouTube. I admire Bam's passion portrayed in his early skateboarding tapes. It seemed clear that he was driven to make skateboarding his livelihood, and that drive pushed him to constantly skate at hotspots, network with other skaters, and get in contact with big names and labels in the scene. That concludes this chapter. Next chapter, we will discuss CKY, both the band and the first 2 tapes.
I love you.